Hello and welcome back. This is the second full session in the series about invisible powers in the lives of Muslim people. So in the previous session, we talked about the jinn and the angels. We talked about the invisible world and the visible world. They occupy the same space. So human beings and jinn and potentially angels are all in that one space. So using that same map, we're going to think this time about some of the other powers which are not animate, but we're going to look at powers that do not have personality. So first of all, there's barakah. Barakah is really important in the Muslim world. It's usually translated blessing, which doesn't quite cover it. The idea is that it is a good power. It is something that you want. It's something that's beneficial for life, for things going well. It extends from something as strong as the blessing of God right through to something as vague as good luck. And there are many ways in which people seek barakah, whether it's through reading the Quran, being in the mosque, going on pilgrimages, visiting holy men. There's a whole lot of things. It has been argued that Muslims are much more interested in obtaining barakah than they are about rewards for eternal life. There's not really any point in balancing one against the other. It is a huge preoccupation, which often Christians don't talk about. And although they pursue it all the time, there's never a sense in which they've got enough. Barakah is a preoccupation, lots of ways of getting it. Barakah is not understood as the direct action of God to bless someone. It's almost like it's got a life of its own. It can be obtained. It can be packaged in bottles of Zamzam water and sent around the world. It can rub off one person onto another. So it isn't quite like the biblical understanding of blessing. Then this is not a good label, but sort of in the middle area of things that most people regard as acceptable. There's magic, there's luck, magic in the sense of various powers that may not be approved of by the religious leaders, but everybody thinks of as okay to access. It's not secret, it's not seen as wicked, and we'll see some examples of that later. And then on the dark side, much more of a consideration, curses. Quite often, when people are in trouble, particularly health issues, they will put it down to a curse. Maybe they know that somebody's cursed them, maybe they believe it, and the idea is that somebody's ill will has harnessed evil power to afflict them. The evil eye. Now, the evil eye is a huge topic. Belief in the evil eye extends all through the Muslim world and beyond it into some other places. And the basic idea is that when somebody is envious of something good or a person's success, that their envy or jealousy or resentment perhaps can harness a power that afflicts you. So, for example, you have a baby is a blessing. Somebody may see the baby, see the mother, and be envious. And as a result, the mother or the baby may get sick and even die. The evil eye is a concern with property. So if somebody runs a shop or runs a taxi, they are a means of making a livelihood, something that somebody could be envious of or resentful of. They cast the eye on it and something goes wrong. It can be for over status symbols, a very impressive car, a beautiful house, a beautiful wife, all kinds of things that people are proud of. There is a fear that the evil eye will be cast on it. And there are two fears related to the evil eye. One is the damage it can do. The other is the fear of casting the evil eye without intending to. Yeah, this is quite a big preoccupation for some people, and there are stories of people accidentally casting the evil eye and having an evil effect. And people have stories that demonstrate how this works and evidence of it affecting people. Now, whether it is all the stories are always true or not doesn't really matter. It's a preoccupation. It's something that people struggle with and which needs addressing. Most Muslims believe that the Quran testifies to the truth of the evil eye, that it really exists. Technically, this isn't true. There is a verse near the end of the Quran about seeking refuge in God against the envy of the envious one, but there's no mention of eyes. However, in the Hadith literature, which is where most of Islamic life and practice comes from, Muhammad talks about being afraid of the evil eye and protecting himself against it, particularly in relation to his grandsons who he delighted in and wanting to protect them from the evil eye. And then black magic, that is to say, invisible power that is harnessed for malicious or evil purposes. And the belief in black magic is present across the Muslim world. It's something that people are not supposed to go after, but they do. So it's a known evil. It's something that people do participate in. Although most people do not actively seek out black magic, almost anybody can fear that black magic has been used against them. It's part of their world. Before we go on to look at how people deal with these powers operating around them, we need to have a word about the Quran. So on this map, you have the invisible world, which we cannot see, but occupies the same space we do, and the visible world below the line there. The Quran straddles the two. The Quran is not seen primarily as an object made of paper with print on the pages. It is seen as a manifestation of the invisible world that extrudes into our world. So it's clearly visible and you can touch it, but it belongs to the invisible world. It comes from God. And there are these beliefs that the Quran is a reflection of an eternal tablet and all these kinds of stories. The Quran is seen as an object of power. Using the Quran, harnessing the Quran when dealing with other powers is a regular feature of life in the Muslim world. So, given that there's all this power about, which you can harness to do yourself good, you need to protect yourself against because there's potential harm. People have a variety of strategies, and we're going to think first about objects of power, talismans, charms, amulets. So, for example, this is the Hand of Fatima. I first saw this in Sudan many years ago, and there were boys walking around the market selling stickers that you pay a small amount for and you peel them off and you stick them to your bicycle or your car or your shop counter or all kinds of different places. And the image shows a stylized hand with 3 fingers and what looks like 2 thumbs, an eye in the middle, and it's very specifically a defense against the evil eye. And this shape, whether as an object or one could also use one's hand, have the same effect. Is supposed to defend against the evil eye. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know who might be exercising it. It's a sort of generic defense. It doesn't always look so obvious. So here's a piece of jewelry, and you'll notice all kinds of different symbols included on that. And there is a blue stone. The use of the blue stone as a way of protecting against the evil eye has been very strong around the Mediterranean, Turkey, Syria, Jordan, Egypt, and so on. It's becoming less fashionable, and we'll talk about that towards the end of this session. But the jewelry can be quite discreet. For somebody in the know, that is very definitely a Hand of Fatima. Its purpose is to defend against the evil eye. It's also a pretty thing to wear. I saw this in the English city of York on the front door of a Moroccan restaurant. And this is a classic Moroccan style Hand of Fatima, also called the Khamsa, made in brass. That's very common for that part of the world, Morocco, Algeria. Why would you put one on a shop? Well, a shop is a business. You want that business to succeed. You don't want someone to blight it by being envious of it. It's there to protect the restaurant against the envious person who might come in and cast an admiring glance and damage the business. There are all kinds of amulets. Tawiz or taviz is one of the words that's used, particularly in the sort of Urdu-speaking world. Why would you have amulets around motor vehicles? Well, a motor vehicle is a place of potential danger, obviously. A motor vehicle is also an asset. It may be linked to income and prosperity. It may be a status symbol. So these are generic amulets to protect against a whole range of evil. Both of these are taken from adverts. These are things you pay for your peace of mind. Insurance against invisible powers. And here's another advert. This taviz, it's got mysterious things written on that little plate, allegedly defending against all kinds of diseases. What these things have in common is that it is a commercial operation as well as a spiritual one. Now, here's a story, again from the UK. This girl was in school in Nottingham, 6 years old, and she was wearing a taviz around her neck. Her parents clearly put it on her to protect her, maybe to help her get good grades. And the newspaper story runs that the Muslim father removes the 6-year-old daughter from school in protest at a teacher confiscating the special Islamic necklace she was playing with. So she was wearing a charm in school. Being a 6-year-old, she was fidgeting with it. She was a bit bored. And so the teacher took it away from her. Muhammad Tariq, the father, said Sania was upset after the necklace was taken away. This is written by a secular newspaper. The sacred tawiz is a chain containing verses from the Quran. Nottingham Academy has changed their rules and will allow her to wear it. So the father felt so strongly about the charm being removed from his daughter that he removed her from school. Nottingham Academy, not really understanding what was going on and wanting to keep the peace, changed their rules and let her wear it. So let's go back to our map. There are also words of power. Words of power are a really important part of life in the Muslim world. Incantations, spells, things you say to protect yourself or to make things happen. The most obvious one is Bismillah, in the name of God. It's an expression of piety. It's something you should do to show that you are a person of God. So there's, if you like, a religious justification, but it is also very specifically a defense against the jinn. And you can ask people about this. You can ask them in a friendly, non-confrontational way. I notice you say Bismillah a lot. Why is it so important for you to say those words? And it's said upon entering a house, a shop, a vehicle, street, bathroom, before eating, drinking, sleeping, all kinds of things, particularly in places of danger or uncertainty or when starting anything new. It's just a precaution against the jinn. It can be used in cases of illness. This is one, I can't remember where I got this now, but here is a prescription for when somebody has pain. They have to recite Bismillah 3 times. It's not that the single statement has the power, it's the repeated use of the phrase. And then you see it says, then recite 7 times. It's a line that resembles a verse in the Quran. It's slightly modified, but it's basically words that you use to try and obtain healing. People are instructed to use them that way. This is a tweet. Let us not think that this is the pre-modern world, where a sheikh who has a huge following, he's based in Turkey, I believe. If we start everything with Bismillah, it will be full of barakah. There's that blessing again. It'll be beneficial. It will be enough for us and for others. This is the greatest provision. Bismillah was given to the Prophet. He passed it on to his people. May the barakah of Bismillah be upon us all, inshallah, God willing. So this idea that continually using Bismillah will attract blessing, will attract barakah. This is a life strategy, not just a religious practice or requirement. MashaAllah, and you don't have to be around Muslims very long before you notice this phrase, MashaAllah. On the one hand, it's glorifying God. It's saying what God wanted has happened. But at the same time, it is the prime defense against the evil eye, more important, more pervasive than the hand of Fatima. The occasions you use it, when anything good has happened or something good has been reported, when anything is worthy of admiration. You say MashaAllah to show that you are not casting the evil eye. I'm told that one of the things that happens if there's a group of people, they're talking about something good, and somebody does not say MashaAllah, the others will turn and say, you didn't say MashaAllah. That will come across as an accusation because of the fear of the evil eye. that the person who does not say mashallah might be casting the evil eye. They're not using the expression to prevent the operation of that power. Let's have a few words from Mufti Menk. He's a very popular online preacher. You'll notice that he talks about spells. That's using spells to hurt people. He says that's wrong, and he goes on to talk about how Muslims can protect themselves.
It is prohibited to cast a spell or to go to someone to cast a spell. But these things do exist according to the Quran. However, we protect ourselves from it by reading Ayatul Kursi thrice every morning and evening, by reading the last 3 surahs of the Quran every morning and evening, by seeking the protection in Allah from these evil things 3 times every morning and evening, and perhaps after every prayer. So my brothers and sisters, protect yourself. If you don't, you will be affected. Many have been affected.
This teacher, who's conservative in most respects, emphasizes that people are being affected by spells. How do you protect yourself? By use of the Quran, particularly Ayat al-Kursi, the verse of the throne, which we talked about in the last session, and also the last 3 chapters of the Quran. And many teachers instruct people to recite them 3 times, 7 times, sometimes just once, in the morning, in the evening, sometimes at midday, that the recitation of the Quran, the speaking out of it, not just the reading it with the eye, this is what protects you against spells that people may be putting on you. Here's another example of words that can be spoken in order to try and get power. So Ashura is a day in the Islamic calendar, and this is a dua, a supplication, a request to God. And the promise given here is that the person who recites or even listens to this dua, to this prayer, between sunrise and sunset, on this particular day, it'll be a guarantee of life for the following year. So we've talked about objects of power and words of power. There are actions of power too. These are rituals and religious duties. So, for example, the wudu, the washing that you have to do before prayer, and the prayer itself, these are seen as things that attract barakah, and that if you are regular in your wudu and in your prayer, you are protected against evil powers. You're protected against the things people might set against you, protects you from the jinn. Here in this comprehensive list of the benefits of prayer and of wudu, we see try to remain in the state of wudu. It is the best way of getting Allah Almighty's blessings. That's just one example of what might be taught. The actual details of teaching will vary from place to place. Sadaqah is voluntary giving, voluntary charitable giving. And they quote a hadith from the collection of Tirmidhi. It's in small print at the bottom. And the text says, give sadaqah without delay, for it stands in the way of calamity. In other words, if you give to charity, appropriate Muslim approved charity, it will protect you from disasters that may come upon you. And this is referenced as something that Muhammad himself taught. So certain actions and behaviors protect against evil. So let's come back finally to this map. Inevitably, there are people of power. I had this put under my windscreen wiper at one point. I came back and found a card. This person is probably North African in that they say they speak French and English. It wasn't an Arabic speaking area, so Arabic isn't mentioned. And just about everything that somebody could be worried about in life and every kind of evil power you might be worried about are mentioned. And this guy offers to supply protection, tell your fortune, to bring healing, all at a cost, of course. These are people who work for money. You have to pay them. Similarly, I had this one put through my door. Are you facing these problems? And there's a whole list of things that people struggle with in their daily life. And this gentleman offers to deal with them. He gives free advice, it says at the bottom. But I think as you go forward from that advice, you will have to pay something. There's promise to be able to deal with absolutely everything that can go wrong. You simply telephone or WhatsApp the person. And this pattern is reflected across the Muslim world. I'm told by a friend who's been working in Oman that in that country, people are actually licensed to carry out this kind of ministry. There are registered ones and there are unregistered ones. Basically, there are people who deal with the invisible world on your behalf. This is extremely widespread. It's not just some kind of fringe thing. The only people who don't engage in it are those who are secular, not those who are more religious. So if we're thinking about people of power, there's a whole range operating in the visible world, drawing on the invisible. On the righteous side, as it were, you've got the imam, the sheikh, the pir. The label will vary in different situations. And often these people use text and they perform ruqya. Ruqya means reading on. So they read over someone. They read the Quran or some other kind of formula over someone and they practice exorcism. And if they do it for free, they expect a gift. In the middle area, you've got mediums. One of those leaflets that appeared on the screen just now mentioned a medium service. Mediums contact some kind of invisible entity. Fortune tellers of different kinds, using different kinds of tools, whether it's sand or palms or, yeah, lots of different kinds. Astrologers, I know that's very big in the Indian subcontinent, reading the stars. Diviners. Diviners are the key in that they tell you what the cause of your problem is, who it's coming from, what sort of thing. Is it black magic? Is it a jinn? Is it a curse? And they give advice and they may well offer remedies as well, or they may send you to somebody that can provide the remedy. And then there are the people who are really seen as evil, the sorcerer, the witch, even vampires, bloodsuckers. And in different areas, there'll be different kinds of evil person that is understood to exist and probably does exist. These are people that operate in secret because they are very definitely aligned with evil. The people in the middle may be disapproved of by the religious teachers, but they operate pretty openly and it's fairly ordinary to consult them. I just want to mention a couple of trends nowadays. Things like the use of the blue stone are becoming less fashionable, as I said earlier. The rise of reformist and fundamentalist Islam is leading to a shift in practice. The fear and belief in these different powers of evil is still there, but the reformists are opposing traditional practices that can't be rooted in the Quran, and they are favoring the use of the Quran, whether it's the verse of the throne or the last three chapters or other ways of using the Quran rather than using other means. Some research done in Jordan recently showed that university educated young women regarded the blue stone as a superstition, but the remedy they went to was reciting verses from the Quran or going to somebody to do it for you. The other trend is internet advice. When people are troubled by something and they think it's of supernatural origin, they will go online to find advice. This, opens a door to all kinds of different practices and different ways of engaging. But whatever language group you might be working with, you might try going online and put some questions in and see what pops up. You'll get an idea of what kind of traffic there is online. Now, why is all this our concern? Let's go back to the scriptures. Jesus Christ has gone into heaven and is at God's right hand with angels, authorities, and powers in submission to him. Who is Jesus Christ? The gospel, the good news, is about Jesus Christ, what he has done, what he does, who he is. And part of who he is that he is the one that all the powers have to submit to. This is a really important message for Muslims. The Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation, for in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authority, all things have been created through him and for him. So when we are making sense of life with believers of Muslim background, as we help them, they have to live in this world where all these beliefs and powers are in operation. We need to help them make sense of it from a Christocentric point of view, with Jesus Christ at the center, or more accurately, Jesus Christ seated on high, with all these things subject to him. We need to bring them from a place of interacting with the occult world to a place where they are secure and safe and understand how to deal with spiritual powers from a biblical point of view. So that's partly knowledge, but it's also about faith, maturity, and being strong in Christ. And we'll talk more about that in the third session.